On today's show,
Washburn Rural had a great team that year, and we knew it was going to be a tough game, but I think we knew it also came down to who was going to want it more, and we wanted it.
Welcome into the Thursday show of Kansas Sports Chatter, the show that we're referring to as the Locked Jaw Show. As an adult, sometimes you make really poor decisions, and one of mine is just not going to the dentist for a really long time, and I'm not going to tell you how long because it's pretty embarrassing. But I finally decided to go, and I came away with two feelings, which I felt like for as long as I have been not going, I felt like with just two cavities was actually somewhat of a win. So I took that, but recently got those fixed and, feeling it right now. So this is the Locked Jaw edition of Kansas Sports Chatter. We're working on that, but it is still a good show. You look at the lineup today, our leadoff question, Aiden Scott and Daxton Minton, Shawnee Heights, Great Bend football. They'll be both joining us for our leadoff question. Conor Nicholl, longtime sports writer throughout the states and with Sunflower Sports Solution, now doing a lot of coaching duties. We'll pick his brain with Conor Nicholl knowledge of some things going on throughout the states. Kelsey Carbajo, the Olathe West cross-country coach. Man, they have built a really nice dynasty at Olathe West in cross-country. She joins us for quality time. Wade Cargile, Prep Redzone, Kansas, runs through some of the top prospects in football in the states. Rocky Downing, Clay Center Radio, the voice of the Clay Center Tigers. We'll talk about his career. And Reece Walrod of Kansas State University soccer team, formerly a Blue Valley West soccer and a former state champion her junior year. We'll talk about her high school days and our next level talents toward the end of the show. Let's get to it with today's leadoff question. It's today's leadoff question with Aiden Scott with Shawnee Heights football. Aiden, where is your favorite place to play besides your home field?
I would say the environment at Washburn Rural. So Washburn Rural would definitely be my one that I played in and was like, this feels surreal, and you can definitely hear the whole crowd.
What stood out? Is there anything else about that environment or anything else about that facility that stands out to you?
I mean, just the amount of people that showed up. The field house, of course, with the locker rooms was cool. Something you don't really see at normal high schools. But just the amount of people that showed up and that came to support both sides. Like there's people sitting alongside the fence, standing alongside the fence because the bleachers were full. So,
have you performed well at Washburn Rural?
I did. When first week last year, we lost, but at the end of the day, that was first week. We learned from it, but I think I can say from me, I performed well while others did too. So,
any specific highlights you remember from playing there?
One right off the top of my head, I had a screenplay to Tyron Parker. He took that for 45, 50 yards. And then I had a corner route to Parker Buznitz, who's playing at Washburn right now, for a touchdown. So,
at different points of the game, do you ever catch yourself just kind of looking around the stands and what's going on?
Yeah, when we walk out there on a turnover down, when our defense gets a stop or, from a kickoff, I'll catch myself just looking around because, at the end of the day, it's going to be over. So I just try to take in as much as I can. And I only played, that's going to be the last time I played there. So I just took in everything I could.
That's Aiden Scott with Shawnee Heights football. It is today's leadoff question on Kansas Sports Chatter with Daxton Minton, a member of the Great Bend High School football team. Daxton, where has been your favorite place to play at in high school besides your home field?
Yeah, probably I'd say my favorite place to play at that I've played was my sophomore year in the playoffs. We played at Wichita Southeast Field. We played Capon though, and that field was awesome. But I'd probably say in WAC, it's definitely playing at Hayes. I hate to say it, but playing at Hayes is always so much fun.
What makes that place so special? Obviously, the rivalry's there, but what makes it so special to play on the road in Hayes?
So we've always played at Fort Hayes Field, which is always really nice, and they always pack out that stadium, and we always have a good crowd there too. And the atmosphere is always electric. And then they just got a new field this year, and I've seen it posted online quite a bit, and it looks nice. And I'm excited to go there and play.
Have you had good performances while you're in Hayes?
So I've only played in Hayes once, and that was my sophomore year, and that was one of the better games that I've had in my career.
Do you ever catch yourself just kind of looking around, maybe when you're on the sidelines, just looking around and seeing what's going on in the stands there?
Yeah, so we were actually, it was a third and I can't remember, it was third down, and we're right by their student section, and I'm getting ready to snap the ball, and all I remember thinking is, wow, this place is loud right now. Like, I could barely hear myself think.
What's your mentality when you go on the road, especially when you're visiting a place like that? But what's your thought process before that game even starts when you're on the road?
I'm a competitive person, and I love that type of environment. Like, I think I play better when there's more people watching and it's loud and that type of stuff. So I try not to let the moment get too big and just enjoy it and have fun.
Any specific highlights that stand out when you played on the road in Hayes?
KSN was there, and that's probably my favorite play of high school. Was I pulled we had a run play to the left, and it wasn't a read, but they crashed hard, and so I pulled it on my own, and I ran over the kid going into the end zone, and that's probably one of my favorite high school plays.
That's Daxton Minton, a member of the Great Bend High School football team, with today's leadoff question. Big thanks to a couple of the star quarterbacks in the state this year, and Aiden Scott of Shawnee Heights High School, and also Daxton Minton of Great Bend High School. Big-time quarterback, expecting big things from them their senior year. That is our leadoff question. Short break. When we come back, we'll have Conor Nicholl with Nicholl Knowledge joining us here, as he has a few things to talk about in volleyball and football. Conor Nicholl is next on Kansas Sports Chatter.
Whether on the field or in the stands, displaying good sportsmanship creates the positive environment for our students. When you attend high school events, young eyes are watching you for examples of acceptable behavior. An easy way to display good sportsmanship is by cheering for your team, not against your opponent or officials. Do your part in keeping our hometown sports a positive experience for everyone. This message is brought to you by the Kansas High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team.
Are you looking for Kansas high school sports coverage and entertainment? Then Kansas Sports Chatter is the place for you. It's a statewide sports show that focuses on high school athletics and includes several guests each episode. Kansas Sports Chatter is easy to find. Listen anywhere you get your podcasts and watch anytime on YouTube. And the best part, it's 100% free to listen to or watch. High school sports and entertainment. Come join the chatter. Kansas Sports Chatter. Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. This segment, we just refer to it as Conor Nicholl Knowledge. Conor, a longtime sports writer in the state of Kansas, joins us now. You got a vast knowledge of high school athletics, and we're going to try to open that vault up a little bit. And I want to get your thought on 8-man Division II football, because you actually think there's somebody that could get in the way of the machine that's known as Axtell. But first, volleyball, Conor. Man, it seems like every year there's a lot of really good individuals, especially this year right now, because there's one down in southwest Kansas that people need to be keeping an eye on, and out in Ingalls.
Yeah, so Olivia Stein is the player, a 5'11" hitter, fantastic jumping ability, fantastic arm. I got to see her play last year at state. She is everything that people had said in the past. She will be a senior this fall. Ingalls was top 4 in 180 Division II last year. I expect them to be certainly that, if not better, this year. She has a veteran setter who they are very, very close friends to. So a couple of years ago, I put together the all-time volleyball rankings, and the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame has basically said, yes, we are going to be using these ranking or these stats for all-time kills, all-time digs, and all-time assists. And Jamie Patrick, who played at Hutchinson Central Christian and then was an All-American basketball player at Colorado State, she holds the all-time record with 2,635 kills. And no one right now is even within 300 of those kills. Beloit's Addison Budke, who graduated last year, was within about 330. And then Brooklyn DeLay from Washburn Rural, who many of you know, she now plays at Kentucky. She was within about 500. But that record was considered by many to be relatively untouchable. But if Olivia Stein has the season that she had last year, she should actually break the record. So to break one of really unapproached record, that is really, really impressive. So overall, that is one story that we are definitely focusing on.
All right, football, mentioned 8-man Division II. I mean, Axtell, they've won 4 straight, Connor, but you think there's a team out there that might be able to cause some damage to Axtell?
Yeah, I think that Victoria this year is primed, aimed, and loaded. They were the runner-up to Axtell last fall, and they returned basically everybody. Kyle Huser is a tremendous player. He is a multiple first-time All-State, first-team All-State player, and he is really, really, really good. They will have seniors at every position except one, and that one is Weston Shear, who is their junior fullback and defensive end, who is also a first-team All-State pick last year. So they are going to be, they again, for an 8-man Division II team, to have a senior at every single position except one, and that one position is a returning first-team All-State player. This is a season Victoria has been looking for a really, really long time. Wyatt Schmidberger will be at quarterback, and experienced player. Ethan Von Lennel will be another nice player. They are really, really stacked and loaded. And this is a season, last year, I don't know if Victoria felt like they were going to beat Axtell, but I felt like they were going to be able to be competitive. And for them to lose by the margin they did, that really kind of left a sour taste. And I think that this year, Victoria expects to have a fantastic year, and everybody expects Axtell to take, a dive. I could see this being a 7-3, 6-4 team. They do return a speedy, kind of all-purpose kid, but they will take a significant dive from the all-time greatest 8-man dynasty ever.
All right, Connor, we got about 20 seconds here, but Ellenwood, they've been really good in volleyball for a number of years under Greg Maxwell. You think this might be a special year?
Yes, 100%. I think this is his best team. Kendall Moore, Emporia State commit, Reagan Widener, Fort Hays commit, Bennett Jacobs on the back row. He has all of the pieces, and something to think of too. Inman has Sutton Harris, a Utah commit, but Ellenwood, I think, has more pieces relative to 2A this year, comparable to relative 2A to 2A in past years. The Ellenwood Eagles are your 2A favorite.
I like it. Connor, appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Cole.
That is Connor Nicholl and our Connor Nicholl Knowledge. Make sure you connect to Kansas Sports Chatter by checking it out on YouTube and subscribing.
Sportsmanship is when people who are playing or watching a sport treat each other with respect. This is a reminder to be a good sport to your peers, coaches, opponents, fans, and the people officiating the game. Sporting events have a much better atmosphere when everyone involved is displaying good sportsmanship.
Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time now for our quality time interview, our opportunity to spend a little bit more time with our next guest. And that guest is going to go out to Olathe West, the head coach of the cross-country team, Kelsey Carbajo. Hey, Coach, appreciate you joining us here on the show. Appreciate your time. For you finally get that season started, especially after the success that you've had. What's that feeling like when you finally get that year underway?
Well, I love everything that we get to do in the summer, and we get to spend a lot of time together there and run. And we've been in the weight room. And then when we start season, it's almost like we're just officially starting when we've had a pretty good turnout all summer. So it's just fun to actually start officially with everyone together. And it's been fun so far.
For you, I know you were telling me that your passion for sports really kind of started out with volleyball. I know you were still a runner at that same time as well, but how did you eventually end up on cross country?
So I grew up playing volleyball, and then when I got to high school, I went to Spring Hill High School, and I was able to do both sports, so cross country and volleyball during the same season. Then still loved volleyball and was pretty good at running, but my love was volleyball. And so I went to college to play volleyball and ran track at Grandview University. And then after 2 years of volleyball, I was like, okay, I might be a little bit better at the running thing. And then ended up switching over to cross country. I graduate and I'm like, all I want to do is coach volleyball. I coach a club team, came back to Olathe Northwest, started coaching volleyball, lasted a year, and then realized that I should probably end up in cross country. And I have now been coaching cross country. This is my 10th year coaching cross country.
It seems like it was a pretty clear choice for you, but was it tough to fully make that switch? Okay, now I'm going to go from, volleyball, my first passion, now to cross country.
So I've always enjoyed volleyball as like just being a super big team sport and being able to be with your teammates and all of that. So once I realized that I could take that same mindset to cross country and make cross country, which is normally, I guess, viewed as an individual sport, if I could figure out how to make it a team sport, that was the changing point. Was like, oh, I can enjoy the whole team aspect on this cross country team. And that's just kind of honestly how we've built our program is we say often that cross country is only a team sport. And that's just kind of been our motto. So, yeah.
So why coaching for you? So you obviously the athletic background, but like what made you decide, okay, yeah, for sure coaching is for me?
Well, both of my parents were coaches at Spring Hill. And then when I first, honestly, when my sister was born and when she was younger, I used to pretend like she was my student. And so I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, like from a young age. And then when I got into sports, I was like, oh, wow, I really can't imagine my life without sports. So I, got into coaching and then I've never looked back. I've always knew I was going to do this, I guess.
Was your sister a good student? Did she feel like you were a good teacher?
That would be a question for her, but I think so because we still coach and teach together to this day. And so we view things very similar and we get along on a lot of things, but also we push each other to kind of disagree on some things that I think helps elevate our team culture and how we do things at Olathe West.
When you look at cross country, coach, and my obvious question here or stupid question for the day would be like, how do you coach running? Like, what are some of the details that you're looking at, whether a kid's coming in as a freshman or they're a Grizzly vet going into their senior year? What are some of those keys that you're trying to get across?
Well, I think what we start with is like having fun. And so we find ways to make running fun. And maybe it's like that we're just introducing them to another teammate and we give them conversations to talk about while they're on the run. But team is super important to us. And I just believe that when you're doing something really hard with people you like and your friends, I think that's when like running becomes easier. And then once we get you hooked, I think that's when we start talking more strategy and stuff like that. But the whole running part, I feel like probably comes last in our program because we're so focused on having fun, being a team, and doing these things that maybe don't even have to do with running.
Kelsey Carbajo, the head coach of the Olathe West cross country team, joining us here. Any specifics on how you get that team orientation going? Any way or tips or practices that you feel like are good to make sure you do have a good team unit?
So I think it starts with the coaching staff, and if the coaching staff has a good relationship, then I think that just trickles on to everyone else in the program. But we also like talk about this kind of stuff often. This is not like there's rarely ever a day that we don't talk about the team aspect of cross country. And so that is super important to us, is just reminding them that this is how we do things around here, and then just creating opportunities for them to get together and have fun and do the things that maybe they don't get to do when they're in during summer, when they're not with their friends, like making time and putting forth effort towards their team. So those are just a few things that we do, and then obviously just celebrating the times when we do see them acting as a team. And I mean, there's a lot more that we do, but I think just those small little things, and then they become big things. And um, I don't even think that at the end of the season, I don't even think they remember that at the start of the season they weren't friends, because they've spent so much time together, and that stuff has just become natural to them.
So you've won 5 straight state championships now. A remarkable feat. Congratulations on that. But can you feel that momentum that you had, that success that you have within your program?
Yeah, I think that obviously winning is fun, and having success is a lot of fun. But I think that what we have tried to preach is like the working hard and the process to get there and all of that is like far more fun than it's the journey that you have, going into this. And so I think when everyone is moving in the same direction and they all have the same goals and they all have the same standard that we're going after, that's when I think the greatness and the momentum, I think that's where it comes from, is like when they are enjoying the journey and all going after the same goal and after the same standard.
Take me through some of that drama of that last state championship, that 5th one. It seemed like you guys thought you lost by 1, finished as a runner-up, but then the new results came in and found out that you ended up getting the tiebreaker. What was that emotional roller coaster like?
Yeah, so I feel like I have really good running math. So I'm, counting the runners as they come in, and I'm like seeing our 5th runner come in compared to the other teams we were competing at's 5th runner, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is gonna be real close. So I'm like sprinting to the finish line, and anyone who knows Rimrock knows that there's not a ton of service out there, and so when I originally got the results to refresh, it showed that we had taken 2nd place, and we were second place by 1 point. And so I feel crushed for the girls, and I pull them together and I tell them like, hey, this is what happens when you like let the voice in your head talk to you and you kind of give up and let somebody pass you at the end. It always comes down. We talk about how every point matters. And so I'm talking to them, they all start crying. It's a very emotional time. And then our AD, actually, Mr. Butler, texted me and was like, oh, wait, I just refreshed again. And I was able to get his text, but I still couldn't refresh Mile Split to give us the places. And so he, I guess, is the first person that said, hey, you just won on a tiebreaker. So we finally get it to refresh. I go back to our girls' huddle, who are like a mess because we thought we lost by
Right.
1 point. And I go and tell them like, hey, we just like, remember that voice I told you, and every point matters. I said, every point matters. And we just won on the tiebreaker. And the whole shift from like tears of like such defeat and disappointment and all the things turned into tears of happiness. Those pictures, somebody was able, I think Mac Moore was able to get pictures of us at the end of the race, and we're explaining it to them. And those pictures I'll always cherish forever. They're just so great because you see the like raw emotion of these girls who've worked so hard, some of them for 4 years. And it was just an incredible moment. So.
What is that waiting process like there at the state cross country meets as far as getting those results? Do you have a general idea of maybe like where you guys stand?
I mean, I am trying to keep the math in my head and like try to count their top 5 runners and our top 5 runners. So I can usually tell a little bit, I guess. But when it was close like that, there were 3 teams that were battling for first place: Shawnee Mission East and Washburn Rural. And it was so hard to tell. I would bet that their coaches would say the same thing because it was a very, very close race. So it's nerve wracking as a coach because you're out there and you can't do much other than encourage them and cheer them on. But I think that that day it was just a fun moment for us, that when we found out that we had won, that was just an incredible feeling and an incredible moment.
Coach, appreciate the time. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
That is Kelsey Carbajo, the head coach of the Olathe West cross country team, joining us here for quality time on Kansas Sports Chatter.
Respecting our sports officials is an important aspect in our activities and for our communities. We need to cheer for our teams while also supporting the officials who help make the game possible to create a positive sports environment. These individuals dedicate their time and effort to ensure fair play and maintain the integrity of the game. They make tough calls in the heat of the moment, and their decisions are crucial for the safety and fairness of all players involved. When we show respect for our officials, we set a great example for athletes and fans.
Which fan are you at sports games? Do you have your face painted with your team colors, yelling at the top of your lungs? Or are you nervously following the game, barely able to watch? No matter what type of fan you are, Kansas Sports Chatter has the entertainment you need. It's always free to listen to wherever you subscribe to your podcast and free to watch on YouTube. Whether you're a diehard sports fan or you're still figuring out the rules, Kansas Sports Chatter has the entertainment for you. It's time for football chatter, and our guest today is Wade Cargile with Prep Redzone Kansas. Wade, I know you got your eyes on a number of the top recruits in the state of Kansas, but run through just a handful of guys that are really piquing your interest as we get ready for the new season.
All right, Cole, thank you very much. We're really excited about the 2025 season, and there are a lot of talent in the Sunflower State, and particularly in Wichita area. And I've got quite a few that I'd like to talk about, but there's a few in particular that have really stood out. And one of them, to start with, is a defensive back named Levi McLaughlin from Derby. He is a 6'3", 185-pound athlete that his older brother plays in college, and he transferred from Rose Hill and will be playing for Derby this year for the first time. But he's got all the skill sets. He's got the prototype size for next level D-back. He's just a real player that I think within that awesome Derby program, he's going to really shine. Then I've got another kid that is coming on for his senior year. His name is Chris Harding. He's a quarterback in Chanute. He hadn't got a lot of attention, unfortunately, because the Southeast region doesn't get as much attention as some of the other areas. But he's been a starter since he was a sophomore and has put up really good numbers since he was a sophomore. And he's a dual threat quarterback, 6 feet, 185 pounds. He can run the ball, run the RPO if needed, but he's a really strong passer, whether he's sitting in the pocket or on the move. He's got excellent mechanics. He really shines when he can sit back in the pocket and throw those surgical strikes on the short passes, and then dial up the long ball and even layer the ball in there on tight windows and stuff. So I think he's going to have a really big senior year, and he's one to look at, that's for sure. We've got another kid that is not getting as much attention, but he's probably going to now that he's gotten a couple of offers. But a kid named AJ Batiste from Collegiate. He's an athlete that caught my eye earlier. He's he can do a little bit of anything you ask of him. He can play defense. He can play offense. He's a really versatile wide receiver, return man if needed, and really strong on defense. So he's got all the tools with speed, and he's also a really good basketball player. So he's another one. I think Collegiate's going to have a good team this year, and he's going to be one to look for. So, and then another one, if I've got a little bit more time, is Rylan Morrell from Remington.
Yeah.
And I recently did an article on the Remington football team, the defense in particular, and he was very impressive for being a versatile kid that could go both ways as a running back and a linebacker. He has really stood out as a linebacker to start with, but he's going to get a lot more opportunity this year as a running back. And so he's another one that's going to step up this fall and help turn things around for Remington.
Hey, Wade, appreciate the insight. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you, Cole.
That is Wade Cargile joining us with Prep Redzone Kansas, one of the scouts. We'll take a break. Next level talent comes your way. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Myers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Welcome back on to Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time now for Faces, Voices, and Riders. So many great media personalities throughout the entire state that cover high school athletics, and this is our chance to talk to some of them. Today we go out to Clay Center to talk with Rocky Downing. He is the voice of the Clay Center Tigers, also the station manager for KCLY. Hey, Rocky, appreciate you jumping on the show. For you, you're a Missouri guy, right? So how did you end up in Clay Center right out of college in the early 1990s?
Yeah, I actually worked in retail in Kansas City for a couple of years out of college. I managed a video store, which no longer exists in this day and age. But my brother and sister both lived in Salina, and my sister saw an ad in the Clay Center Dispatch. I answered it and came for an interview, and pretty much was given the job at that time. So I went to college at William Jewell, just outside of Kansas City. So that was where I came from.
For you, now calling Clay Center games for 30 plus years, what is the preparation like for you for games? What do you have to do to feel comfortable going into a broadcast?
Well, obviously it's gotten more comfortable as the years have gone along, but it's very important to, know our athletes. That comes easy because I'm around them quite a bit. But we have a real good connection with our North Central Kansas League broadcasters, which is primarily who we're broadcasting against. And we have a text thread, all of us, that we keep each other up to date on what's happening, kind of what the team's up to, and stats and that type of stuff. So that prep work is so much easier now than it was 30 some years ago, when you were trying to find anywhere and anyone who would share some stats. And so that's certainly become much easier than it used to be.
I'll put you on the spot. This is a tough question for as long as you've been doing it, but maybe a favorite moment. Are there any moments calling Clay Center Tiger football, basketball, any sport that stands out to you over the years?
Yeah, it is a tough question. There's a lot of special moments. I would say calling my son's touchdown. The Z-Dog got on the corner right and ran up the sideline for a TD in high school. So that's a highlight. The days of Nicholl, Oldie Johnson, and Kendra Wecker when they were banging heads in the NCKL in basketball, and then to go on and play together and become All-Americans at Kansas State. That's pretty cool stuff to see those things. A real quick funny story, and I'll water this down quickly, but we do some area games as well, and we were doing a game with Jordy Nelson playing over at Riley County, and it was a freezing night. We were on top of a tin roof, sleeting sideways, and you couldn't even keep stats because the rain and sleet and everything was messing with you. And so George Heiss was the sports director when I came here, and he had brought a little heater to put underneath the card table that we had to work with. And Jordy's mom, Kim, I've known them because we played softball and so forth against each other and together. And she kind of came up and waved at the top of the bleachers, and I waved, and she waved again. I was thinking, yeah. And then she finally points, and the card table had gotten on fire. There was smoke starting to rise, and you could hear George say, "We're going to a break," and you could hear him try to blow it out, and then we patted it out, came right back. Most of the listeners didn't know that it happened, but I don't know if that's a highlight, but it's certainly something that's memorable.
That's impressive. I feel like most people would probably be out for a few minutes, maybe a half hour. The broadcast would end, but you guys just kept trucking.
For the second time out, we were back, man.
That's a true professional. Last question for you, Rocky. What makes good play-by-play broadcasting? So when you're not calling games and you have the chance to listen to other broadcasters throughout the state, whether it's high school, college, or professional, does anything stand out to you that says, okay, yep, they have to have this for broadcasting to sound good? What stands out for play-by-play?
I do a lot of roundtables with the KAB, and so the one thing I kind of emphasize to the students, KAB seminars, sports seminars, the one thing I'll emphasize is obviously you have to get the names right. I mean, that's the basics. Know the sport, and if you don't, when I first started doing volleyball and wrestling on air, I did not know those sports very well at all, and so you just learn those things. But one thing I think stands out is you can't be up here the entire time in excitement and level. You'll wear your listeners out. You can't be down here because you're going to lose your listeners. But I think you give them something constant, and then when your voice rises or excitement comes into the broadcast, I think that you get their attention back, and they know something's going on, and it's not just continuously yelling and screaming, if you will, throughout the broadcast. I think you can have your own niche. I grew up wanting to be Denny Matthews, Thanks, Fred. Hi again, everyone. And so I still feel that when the baseball broadcast, some influence, but it's still my voice and what I do. And
Rocky, appreciate the time. That's Rocky Downing, the station manager for KCLY there in Clay Center and the voice of the Clay Center Tigers.
Mental health is crucial, especially during high school activities. It is a time when we're juggling a lot, school, sports, and clubs, and it can get overwhelming. Sometimes we might feel stressed or down, and that's okay. It's okay to ask for help when we need it. Taking care of our mental health is just as important as our physical health. Remember to support each other and create a positive environment in our high school community.
Welcome back in. It's time now for Next Level Talents on Kansas Sports Chatter. This segment, an opportunity for us to talk to former high school athletes from Kansas that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And for today's guest, we go to Manhattan to talk with Kansas State University soccer athlete Reece Walrod, who is from Overland Park, Kansas, played at Blue Valley West High School. Reece, you're going into your junior year now for the Wildcats. Does it feel like 3 years removed from playing high school soccer?
Absolutely not. I feel like it was just yesterday that it was my junior year of high school winning a state title. Like, that feels crazy to me that it's already been that long.
Well, we'll go back 3 years ago. So what was it like? What stood out to you about playing high school soccer at Blue Valley West?
For me, it was just the way that the school showed up for us every single game, every single practice, every single assembly that had to do with girls soccer. I had the best teammates and the best coach, and it was just awesome. Everything was so family oriented, and yes.
You mentioned already that 2022 state championship. What do you remember from that match against Washburn Rural and that 2-0 win?
I remember just all of us like understanding going into that game that it was going to be a toss-up. Washburn Rural had a great team that year, and we knew it was going to be a tough game, but I think we knew it also came down to who was going to want it more, and we wanted it. So I think we just went into that game knowing that we'd do anything for the teammate next to us and that would get us through.
Any specific play that stands out to you in that one?
Honestly, the thing that I remember the most from that game is like the feeling of the last like 10 minutes when I knew that we were up by 2 goals and we just had to do anything and everything to keep the ball out of the net, especially coming from a defender. And I remember when the clock finally ticked down and we had won the state title.
Anything that stands out that you learned, especially at the high school level at Blue Valley West, that you've taken is kind of translated nicely to the success that you've had at the collegiate level now going into your 3rd year at K-State?
I think I've just learned that a lot of the time it's work ethic that gets you to success, not being the most talented person in the room or like being the cockiest or like
sure
being the loudest person in the room. I think it's the hardest working players and like it's the hard work that has gotten me to where I am now. And I think that's translated a lot in college, especially playing against teams that you know that there's going to be girls that are better than you and you just have to work that much harder.
What was the competition like in that Kansas City area? I imagine it's just like a hotbed for a lot of really good soccer teams, but you talk about not only at Blue Valley West, but just in the KC metro area. What was that competition like?
A lot of my best friends actually played for other teams and ended up going to Division I schools and like played for other high school teams across the metro area. It was just like a never ending competition. Like there was never a game throughout the week that we were like, we can breathe with that one. Like it was, whether it was another Blue Valley school or one of the private schools, like you were going into every game knowing that you were going to have to fight to win that game. The competition was nuts.
For you now going into that 3rd year, and I was looking at some of your bio, 1 of 4 Wildcats to start every match last season. For you, what was the recruitment like and why did you end up choosing K-State?
As long as I can remember, I have bled purple. I've been purple. Both my parents went there and I can remember going to games when I was literally a year old, whether it was football, basketball, or just being in Manhattan for the day. And it's always just felt like a second home to me. So when recruiting opened up and I got the call, I committed almost immediately. I had a much quicker recruiting process than most players, and mostly because I knew that's where I wanted to be. But I just love that in Manhattan, everything feels like a family. All the athletes are there for each other. The community is there for the college and everything in between.
Reece, appreciate the time and best of luck this season.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. That is a wrap on the Locked Jaw edition of Kansas Sports Chatter. You know, we like to send out really good, knowledgeable stuff and just some advice on the show, especially like from Keisha. You hear those Keisha PSAs about sportsmanship and treating officials right. And here's another one for you kids. Go see the dentist. It's worth it. We're pushing through though. We got through the Lockjaw edition. We'll be good to go next time. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube page. Businesses, if you want to promote your business on the show, plenty of advertising opportunities. Just reach out at ksportschatter@gmail.com. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. That'll do it. We'll talk to you next time on Kansas Sports Chatter.